We live stream
Just
on
kidding.
Monday.
I love you.
So what were you saying, Gus?
That we should do something on Halloween.
We should do something.
Yeah,
You should wear costumes.
You want to dress up?
I might not be able to attend.
Why is that?
I got kids. It's Halloween. Halloween's a kid's
They're
holiday.
old enough they can trick or treat themselves.
Trick or treat.
Yeah, just give them a dozen rotten
Trick or treat
eggs and some
yourself.
toilet paper and be like,
That's exactly
have at it. They're at the age, right? They're fucking getting into mischief on Halloween.
JD won't want to go. JD's at that age. You reach a tipping point as a teenager when you still want the candy, but you don't want to dress up, and you see those fucking teenagers walking around.
Yeah.
Like, what are you dressed as? Oh, I'm dressed as a teenager. It's like, get the fuck out of here. I'm not giving you any goddamn candy. I think that JD might be at that age, but Teddy's still like, he's down with the costumes.
How tall is JD though?
God, he's taller than his mom now. So he's about 5'4", 5'5" now.
Okay.
Yeah.
He could probably still pass as a younger kid.
Oh, he can. Yeah,
Yeah.
he probably could. Yeah.
Put a mask on. It's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Although that's pretty dangerous.
I picture Teddy like a chipmunk when it comes to candy, just like stuffing his cheeks with like Jolly Ranchers.
JD was especially proud because he likes to have a scary costume that people react to. And one year he had a costume that I don't even know how to describe it. I think I talked about it when he wore it because we would have had the podcast at that point in time. But it was basically just a black cloak. That was it, all tattered at the ends of the arms and at the bottom by his feet. And then it was a black, like a nylon mask that just like was a blank over the top of his head. So it was this black cloak, black face. You couldn't see anything. And then he had these goggles he wore underneath these glasses that were these big red circles eyes. So it had this, it looked like the world's most evil Jawa. And
Isn't that like a character in that game Journey that looks like that?
it looks a little bit like that, but it's all black. Like the thing in Journey wears red.
Right.
And that actually looks more like a Jawa, that thing. But we went to a house and there was a little kid like 3 years old, 4 years old, tiny little kid dressed as Superman. And JD's walking up the sidewalk to go to that door, and that little kid turns around to come down. Kid freaks out, runs down the length of the porch. It was like the whole length of the house, and jumps off into a bush. Like literally, and that's like JD's happiest
Did he jump
memory.
like Superman? Did he dive like he was gonna fly?
No,
Or
he just like totally ate shit into the bush.
Did he scream too?
Yeah, he was crying the whole way. So
That makes it so much better.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
on the walls, I didn't have like stuff on the walls, and I've been there a year, and I'm like, I gotta get stuff on the fucking
You've been in
walls.
that house for a year?
Nee, I've been over there a year. Over. Just moved in May of 2000 and whatever last year was, 15.
They're getting more absurd by the week, those noises.
So, what the big thing that I do is I make to-do lists like a motherfucker.
Where? On your phone?
Yes.
Ah.
I have an application that I use for my notes for the podcast.
Unnamed?
And I have it unnamed. And I use it for notes for other stuff as well. And like if I have like ideas for scripts and dialogue and stuff. And then I use it also for to-do lists. And I fucking rock to-do lists. I'm awesome at it. I am. I'm great at it.
I always write notes in my phone and then never look at them again. I always think like, oh, I'll reference this later, or like I make a shopping list on my phone. Never
What
use
did
it.
you write to talk about on this podcast?
I never write anything to talk
I'll
about. on
get the worst is I'll make notes
that's the
sometimes when
problem.
I'm drunk,
Oh yeah.
and then I'll look at it sober. I'll be like, "What the fuck does this?"
I always
mean?
do it to be nice to people when they tell me about something new. Like, oh, have you read this book or seen this movie? I was like, oh, what's it called? Let me look it up. And I type it in my notes and then I forget about it.
I have
What,
a
is that
problem.
just to pretend to be nice? You might as well just write far bro.
Yeah, pretty much.
I have a problem when I'm writing. None of you guys write scripts. But you spend a lot of time with somebody who does write scripts.
I wrote a script.
You did. You read a Red versus Blue script.
I wrote my script
But
for this
yeah.
podcast.
One of the things...
I'm writing it right now.
One of the things...
Wait. There it is. There's some more.
It's improv. One of the things that I do is I'll often, when I'm in the middle of like a writing binge, I say things out loud to see how they sound. I just do that. I also find, it's going to sound weird, I also find it's way easier to write a script. I have one in my office. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I have a little mirror. And animators use a mirror too when they're doing facial animation. They'll look at it and do this. I'll do that and I'll say dialogue to a mirror to see how it sounds. It makes it feel like more
To
connected.
see how it
I'm like
sounds.
testing it out. I don't know how to say it. It works for me.
So you're looking
but
at your
I
own
sound
mouth?
like a fucking crazy person. I'm just like, and sometimes I'll say things like 5 or 6 times.
Do you
Like,
make yourself do different voices? too?
Yes, or like different inflections and stuff like that, or like try to find a better word
Oh,
for.
right,
the
Gavin.
bit of- yeah. No, I go through stuff and I do that, but I sound like a fucking lunatic when I do that, and I recognize that I sound like a lunatic.
You
So someone
also-
might be walking past your office and you say like, "Stop it, Henry."
Yeah, it's like that's
Henry.
not where that goes. That's not where that goes. Guy, come on, that's not really good.
Don't you also do speech to text for a lot of scripts? You said?
I do that too, but
Yeah.
then I just assume that people are just like okay with that.
You are typoing like a crazy bitch recently on text. What has happened to you?
I don't know what was happening that day. I felt like I was having a stroke. Every word I typed to him was a typo. I was like, burp, 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 burp.
Ashley texted me recently, and I could tell she was doing text or speech to text for it. Let me find it for her. You guys.
Why doesn't
fill the void?
the thing accept K as a word? Like, it's not a word, but everyone says K. Like, all right.
There was time I typed to you and it was like, it
autocorrects to
autocorrected
I.
nothing. It autocorrected a word with a capital letter at the beginning, which is obviously a proper name. And it like corrected it to something just totally
I hate
ridiculous.
that.
Flop
I'm
hurts or something.
really close to turning autocorrect off on my phone.
You need it there.
So we went to LA recently for the Crunch Time premiere, and Ashley texted me, "What hotel are you books at for tonight?" But "for" is spelled Four. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, "Sweet speech to text, bro." And then I tell her what hotel we're staying at, and she goes, "Indie dokey."
Indie dokey.
Indie-dokey.
You know what I wish? I wish when you did a text to speech on a message, it made a little icon. I've said that before, but it seems like a real obvious.
Like a microphone or
little
something?
microphone icon that says, "Oh, they did text to speech." So I know they're like when you read it, you're
Dictated,
thinking,
not
"What do they
read.
mean?" But if you're like, "Oh, the computer just heard it wrong," your brain does a different correction than it does
I
for.
can figure out what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, you can try to figure it out. Yeah.
How was the crunch time prem thing?
Real fast, grand prize winner is Fo Mo JJ.
Wow.
Mo, JJ?
Yeah.
It's
So
not.
you won by knowing that
Won.
the scorpion poisons every mushroom it passes.
Oh, that's what it does. It doesn't do like a funky dance or anything like that.
Or
just
shake
come out and go like
Macarena.
this. Fuck you. Fucking
It's got claws.
centipedes.
That would be really awkward if it flipped you off. Yeah.
Fucking centipedes.
The
How was
Crunch
Crunch Time?
Time.
But can I go back and something about how crazy I sound when I do dialogue? I learned something recently, which is one of the things you talk about. You'd leave notes on your phone,
Yeah.
and you would never go back and check them. Something I had that was readily available to me that I would use and then forget that I had used it, and then every now and then I would go through and like go through the whole archive of it. Was my old truck had in the visor, it had a button that was record, and then you record a memo to yourself, and then you go back
There's
and
like
and you go back and play it later. And there's a lot of recordings in that thing from like my kids and all that stuff. But then there's also just me doing dialogue, like just like talking and doing dialogue
Is it audio only?
to it. Yeah, it's just audio only. But I donated that truck essentially when I owned the company. I donated that truck to the company, and it became a production vehicle. And people have been listening to those notes and thinking they're like notes I'm leaving to myself like a fucking crazy person. And it was dialogue that I was writing for like random scripts. Like it goes back as
Why
far
did you
as,
kill her? I don't know. What?
Exactly, like that kind of shit. And nobody said anything to me about it. And it goes way back. It goes back to most of the dialogue in there is for a show that you probably haven't heard, like the name of forever, called Advertism.
God, I think about that show all the time.
I was writing the dialogue for a show we were going to work on called Advertism. It's what the mural that we have, that big blue mural, that was going to be a big set piece in Advertism. We just never got around to making that show.
And you were talking about that in like the mid 2000s, probably.
That was
Oh,
at the
yeah.
yeah, I mean, we got that set piece for the Congress office.
Well, I haven't had that truck since 2005, 2007 or something like that. Like, I haven't had that blue truck in forever. It's not my other truck, not the gray truck, the blue truck.
Yeah.
So I think I got rid of that truck before I left the tech support company.
So was Teddy born at that point?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Teddy's 11.
So was it stored on an SD card or something?
No, I don't know. It's just in the visor.
Yeah,
So,
like what's the storage?
It's probably just integrated there.
yeah, it's integrated. Who knows? It's like internal memory. I don't upgrade
Hope the
it.
battery doesn't die on it. Like, where does it get its power from?
I hope it does. I don't go. I mean, I should go back and listen. I'll get recordings from the kids and stuff like that. I'll pull it off there.
Did you ever have an argument with your ex-wife and just sneakily hit record?
One of the things I left
Sneakily.
in there. So there were
that
the
not a
one
word?
that Patrick specifically brought up to me was the
Patrick?
character that I was writing for. No, Pat Matthews
Yeah.
from live action.
Yeah,
He was talking about how I left a note in there, and it said, "Yeah, you were talking about divorcing your wife." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I go, I didn't own that truck when I got divorced." He goes, "Yeah, you were saying something like, my wife said I took the best years of her life from her, so I got to remember to divorce her before she takes the best years of mine," which was a dialogue bit from that character in Advertism. It's a guy who's got an ex-wife and then a new wife, and it's like constantly this back and forth
Why
battle.
do they listen? Isn't that like an invasion of privacy?
A little bit. I mean, yeah, a little bit.
I've driven that truck many times. I've never hit those buttons.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's like,
How do you even access them?
you should play.
They're
Literally
buttons.
just
On the
How do you-
top?
reach up and hit play.
Well, I did, like you have the stereo and stuff, so I don't know
You
if
said
there's.
it's in the visor.
said to record. I didn't know if
It's like right next to it. There's
you.
like 3 buttons,
That
right?
wasn't obvious.
It doesn't. No,
Thank
listen.
you.
This is not a typical thing to have in a car. It's a
Yeah,
weird thing.
I've never
Is
heard
it
of this
for
in my
voice
life.
memos for reminders?
Yeah, it's basically so you can take little voice memos. But I would use it. I have to be driving down the road,
Or if someone hits you, you could read their license plate.
and I would think of something for dialogue, and I would hit record, and I'd do
That's
it.
what I would use it for.
That's what I would do.
Handy.
I think a lot of dialogue in cars. That's what I'm driving.
So we'll take it all. We'll take all the audio and release it as a big podcast of your years gone by.
my lunacy.
You're
Up
descent
until
into madness.
It's
2007.
always great conversations.
What
in
if you
cars.
said something really racist?
I could have said.
No, it was dialogue. It was dialogue.
I could have said something really racist on there. I definitely could have. I should go listen to it and see.
We should go listen.
You should probably
how
delete
suspect it
that
is.
stuff.
They should probably.
How do you
delete it.
format a car?
Fucking jackasses.
All right, just get a big magnet. I want to read this here. I want to remind everyone.
So here, let me play devil's advocate a little bit, if I may, because I up until they release this thing, I was totally ready to jump ship on Apple, get completely out of the ecosystem. I even have, look at this, I even have a new notebook with no stickers on it. I need to travel some more, get some more stickers. But the thing, this is so pathetic. This is absolutely pathetic. Do you know the reason why I'm staying with an iPhone? It's because I travel so much. I need to be able to text people while I'm on a plane. And I just can't do that with a non-iMessage phone. And I also can't text anybody who doesn't have iMessage.
Can you use WhatsApp though? for
It's a
that?
data service. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but you gotta
nobody
get-
fucking has WhatsApp that I know. Nobody's got it.
Aaron does.
I can use Google Hangouts too. I can also use fucking AIM. Nobody's got that shit.
Aaron has
I can use
WhatsApp.
Slack, which this company uses every fucking day, but I don't use Slack. I tend to avoid it because it's a gigantic piece of fucking shit.
You can-
Sorry,
What's wrong
April.
with Slack?
It's just who gives a shit about it?
It's
not
a
like
good
a piece of shit.
service.
I
Slack's
got a
awesome.
fucking phone in my
What's
pocket.
awesome about Slack?
That I can
It's
text.
it's great. It has improved.
sucks.
It has improved communication
What-
at this company tenfold.
What is wrong with Slack? You both keep saying it
only 'cause we
sucks.
all
What's
agreed
wrong
to
with
use the
Slack,
fucking
right?
thing.
I want to talk to someone. I type their name in the search bar, and I see them pop up. I hit enter, and it goes away.
You have to click their name and press
Why?
enter to make sure you're clicking on the right person.
It came up. It's there. It's the one.
That is why you hate Slack.
I told you this would cause an argument. You're right, Gavin.
My internet's down, so it's not launching. But I just initiated a direct message with you by typing Gavin and then just hitting enter.
No, not from that screen. From like the screen, the chat screen. Not from like direct messages.
Okay, from where?
There, search.
Search. You're searching.
What?
That's like going to Google to call me.
You're you're
You go right here. This is the list of people.
That's an extra click. Why is there a search bar?
It's a click. It's the same
context.
number of clicks. It's one click either
either on
way.
the search bar or you click on the plus sign.
What's the search for then?
to search
That's for
within a
searching
message.
within the conversation.
That's a different feature. That's like.
That's why it's search and not message.
It's above.
You're right. That's why it's labeled
When I
different.
search in search, it brings up contacts. And then you hit enter on one and
I
it
can't.
goes
Our
away.
fucking internet's down, so I can't make fun of you right now further.
Slack is amazing.
Anyway,
I love
so
it.
the headphone jack. I mean, I guess it won't bother me too much, but there are a lot of like external things that work with that headphone jack. Like I use mics that plug into that. What am I going to plug into?
That's true.
The adapter. Will
You have
that
to
still
buy-
work?
Should. Or you have to buy like a new lightning mic or something like that.
Lightning mic.
Did you see that picture that has been tweeted out a couple of times of it's that scene from Titanic of Jack and Rose
Yeah.
on the ship and they're like iPhone 6 and then iPhone 7 it's just Rose
No,
because it's without Jack.
Oh,
didn't get it from your description.
Sorry. It's a really bad way of
I feel like
describing
people
it.
are really up in arms over it, and it's just not going to
It'll
bother me
be
at
fine, I'm sure, but I just
Apple, to play devil's
just
advocate, to
inconvenient.
get back to what I
move.
was saying earlier.
Dick move.
Apple historically, I had a great time today. I got to invite my friend from high school, Darren Henley, a guy, I talked about it. I'm going to probably put it in the vlog. He's a guy who, he bought me my first video camera I ever owned. Back when it was like a Video 8 camera, and it was like,
for your
what, though?
birthday or something?
just like for me to shoot movies on.
Were you jerking him off or something?
No, I don't know if I don't know if I'm at liberty to say, but Darren had a lot of money at a young age, and he was very like accommodating to his friends, probably more so than he should have been.
Why don't you buy me video cameras?
And so he loaned me the money. He didn't buy me a video camera.
all. Oh, now
So
the story changes.
I had to pay. Well,
Why
he
don't you
didn't buy it. He
buy me
bought
video?
the fucking camera,
Give me
and I
Phantom.
did jerk him off, but I had to pay him back the money. So he bought it for me. But that was when we were in college. But I've known him since I was like a freshman in high school. I've known him for a very long time. In the video we tried to calculate how long it had been, and we stopped. It was like
So
this is
what
getting
are you
depressing.
going to buy him?
So I I treated him to something, a lot of fun, which was yes, Barbara, hand job. And
I wasn't on camera on purpose.
I brought him over to stage 2, and we played John Elway's team quarterback together. We hadn't played. I used to go every day after high school with him. We'd go to the West Oaks Mall, and we would play John Elway's team quarterback. And somebody on Twitter, or who listens to the podcast, got hold of me on Twitter, told me there was a listing, and I bought the John Elway's
You fucking bought it?
cabinet. It's over in
How
stage
much
2.
was that?
You've been looking for that for years?
It was $1,400 including shipping.
Wow.
Maybe it was $1,600 including shipping. $1,600
Cheaper than a DDR machine.
Is it? Yeah. So, but this thing's
Christ.
massive. It's huge. It was worth every penny just to be sitting there with my buddy Darren from high school, and we played like an entire game, which takes forever because it just would like just sit there and eat quarters from you the entire time. And I sat there and played the whole thing, and we had a blast today. It was fun. It was so great. It was so awesome. I'm so happy.
That's
right
really
now.
cool.
I should thank the person who found it for me.
Why didn't he
I'll
come
be
watch
sure to
the
thank them
podcast?
next time. What?
Why didn't he come watch the podcast?
Oh, I don't know, because he's got a family. He went home and
See what you do
He
here.
went home and familyed.
Wait, does he live here?
Darren, yeah, he lives in Austin. We went to UT together. He's
was
probably
that?
one of the reasons I went to UT.
And
When
you
was
have-
the last time you saw him?
My college buddies were just in town. We got a buddy of mine. There's like 6 of us. We all still hang out together. I didn't get to hang out with anybody this weekend because I was at the Homestar Runner concert, and then I went to PAX as well.
By
But they
the
were
way,
all in town for
so jealous of
the
you.
Notre Dame Notre Dame football game versus UT. They're big. They're my football buddies. Like if they come in town, Jeff comes in town. Jeff Landis, he spells his name Geof.
Okay.
No second F. So like it's so funny because the whole like Griffith, like people misspell Griff with 2 F's. I've known a Jeff and a Jeff with 1 F my whole life, and they're both Jeffrey.
You also know a Jeff that's Jef.
Oh, I do know a Jeff that's Jef. Yeah, the guy who runs amplifiers.
Yeah.
Jef. But it's so funny because I said to Jeff Ramsey, I almost said Jeff Fink. It's like really going back in time.
Yeah, where you're watching the old fucking Halo 2 video.
I had Jeff Fink on the brain. Jeff Ramsey. I was talking. I got a friend. He's coming in town. His name is also Jeff, but he spells it Geof, 1 F, and he goes Goff. And I'm like, fuck you, dude. It's like that's how people say your name. It's like he like totally scoffed at my friend who
He joffed at it.
Yeah, Jeff is my buddy. He's a doctor. He was a guy doing the pre-med school when I was pre-med for 4.5 years of my life or 4 years of my life.
So when you hang out with, like, do you just give each other wedgies and stuff? Do you just do like school stuff?
What do you do with Dan besides suck each other off?
I mean, we weren't friends at school.
Why
Oh,
does that
totally,
matter?
totally different.
I don't
Totally
have
different.
I don't have any school friends.
So what kind of school? What form was it when you were wedging each other constantly? We're just guys I know from college. We just hang out. Is that okay with
weren't
you?
you like a bro?
I like Etsy, man.
Etsy's good for
I like
gifts.
unique stuff.
Yeah,
It's good for gifts for your bird.
I like unique things.
Yeah.
Like I think Etsy has unique stuff on it. I've gotten some stuff on Etsy that's fucking garbage.
You should tell Aaron about it.
Like what?
Oh, just like lamps or like, and it looks like some guy like literally didn't even know how to use like a miter saw and just like cut this lamp and it's like glued together and like some nails and nails coming through the other side. It's
Don't you look at the reviews and stuff of these sellers?
Do they have reviews on Etsy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I look at them a lot.
Well, you bought a lamp on lamp on Etsy.
I'm gonna talk about something else.
Go for it.
Fuck the lamp. I saw an awful story. Speaking
the
of buying,
most polite
speaking
derail.
of buying stuff, I saw this awful story the other day. Can we pull up the image to show them?
Is it somebody using a chip reader?
Someone complained to IKEA in Norway that they bought this stool at IKEA and they were sitting on it in the shower washing themselves when one of their balls went through one of the holes and got stuck on the bottom. I guess
can see it happening.
He said the warm water made his ball expand or something.
No.
And that he was just sitting there stuck on this stool in his shower.
That is a fucking delicate operation. You can't see, but I'm actually covering my balls out of like solidarity.
That is dangerous. Like, if he loses blood flow, he could lose a bollock.
So
in that.
let me describe what you for those of you listening to the IKEA podcast. To listen to the audio podcast, it's of course a shitty European shower. Which, by the way, fucking catch up in shower technology. What do you mean? Yeah, look at that. That looks like you're in a fucking RV.
Some people have small bathrooms.
I
You need a
know.
small shower.
Build a higher
For a second,
building.
I
You
thought that
fucking
little-
primitives.
I thought that round thing was his ball on the floor there.
Popped out.
I was just like, Jesus Christ!
And it basically looks like it's just a red circle with some holes punched in it.
There's 8 moments where his
It almost
ball
looks like a
could've-
button you'd find on a
Perfect.
jacket.
Perfect ball
IKEA
size
recommended
holes.
that he either remove the stool from the shower or put a towel over it before he sits on it again.
Yeah, good fucking call. The neighbors, I just heard this. Ah! The guy was fine.
Oh, do you think he got
How
up
do you
and
think
the
you do
stool
that?
came
How
up?
do you think you do that? You're reaching under, right? Because you're reaching under the stool, blind.
What do you mean? Why are you reaching under?
Because you got to push the ball
Your
up.
ball's hanging out
You're
there.
like you're under the stool and you're just feeling around down there.
Now,
like,
I know that would
mush,
have been
mush.
that would have been painful, but I imagine that felt really cool.
Nope.
Like the
Nope.
stretched
Nope.
ball. It would have been all like, oh.
God.
Yeah,
I'll
that's-
just imagine some fucking you ask your like significant other for help and they just come in and just go boom, like just give it a flick.
So the,
Oh, that seems so awful.
go
the
purple.
English translation, I'll read here. Sitting there and noticing the accident, I bent down to see what the fuck happened. I realized the little nutter has got stuck.
Little nutter.
This is apparently the hot water causes nether regions to expand. And then, quote, the water turned cold by itself, so I started freezing. The water got cold. Even more cold than my mother-in-law smiled when I married her daughter.
Oh, this guy's a fucking creative
Okay,
writer.
get to the point.
It's like the guy who didn't. shave
Well,
his
when you get Barbara, I'm gonna describe something that happens with testicles. Is when you get in cold water, your scrotum goes like this. Your scrotum goes because it wants to keep your balls close to your
When it
body.
gets cold.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's trying to keep your balls warm so they get the like sperm only live in like certain temperature.
Yeah.
So
like the wrong
when the
way
cold
to do
water
that.
started, it would have started to retract. That would have been like.
Uh-oh.
If it's retracting faster than it's shrinking, then you're building pressure. Oh man, forget about it. What's the closest you come to doing something like that?
I was going to say, Connor Hughes on Twitter, who's that? Connor Rhea, said, I have that chair in my apartment. I will never look at it the same again.
What's the IKEA name for that chair?
Oh, I don't know.
Is it a Stufen?
Hey, Jeff finally got back to me. He says he's not going to kill himself. And he says the gemologist thing, he definitely remembers it.
All right.
Definitely sounds
I'm
familiar.
sorry, you both are incorrect. But I mean,
that was on a podcast.
my wife has never been a
Look, the audience
gemologist.
will
She was
find it.
taking a gemology course.
That
So
may be the case.
people have listened to this podcast. I mean,
Are you saying you know my wife better than me?
I'm just
I mean,
saying.
what the fuck are you saying honestly
a
here?
story that you told.
No.
You might have lied.
No, I didn't
So
lie.
what if we pull up?
That was so fast that they pulled up that camera.
Yeah, the fucking Argy camera.
What if we pull up the video proof of you talking about this
Please pull it up.
and play
What
it?
if you don't?
What if we pull it up and we film your face as you listen to it?
What if
Speaking
you
of
don't?
which, do you guys see that video, Burnie? I know you saw this. Someone cut a video together of you explaining the cow counting story.
That's what I'm saying.
4 years ago.
Yeah. Well, the reason I got the John Elway quarterback machine was I totally cheated because I've been looking on eBay for years for things. So I mentioned it on like 3 or 4
Marius.
podcasts, hoping that someone would find it. Somebody was listening to the podcast from like 5 weeks prior. They heard that. They go, oh, I wonder if that thing's on eBay. They looked it up, which I've done a billion times.
Yeah.
A listing had just started 5 minutes before she looked it up. And so she
Wow.
sent it to me. I probably bought the thing 7 minutes after the listing went on.
Wow.
Because I bought it instantaneously.
Just because she happened to be listening to that podcast.
I probably typed in the amount 7 minutes after it went up, and then it takes me like 5 minutes to click on a purchase that big. I was just like, and Ashley says, he was
a big
just like,
moment.
you've been looking for this thing for 8 years. Buy the fucking thing. I'm like, I can't do it.
I do that with like equipment that I want to buy. Like if I want to buy a new camera, I'll
Yeah.
think about it for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
But even still, the moment where you click buy is like,
Yeah.
that's like $3,000 or
And
something.
it's like you're making money from. I'm not going to make money from a John Elway's quarterback machine, but
You can take it to RTX and charge people a quarter to play it.
Yeah.
You make your money back slowly.
the cow counting story was they were calling me out for telling a story literally 200 podcasts ago, and I told the story again.
Which is
and
what, like
you
4
fuckers,
years?
I'm upset with you two because I asked before I told the story. I said, "Have I told the story before?" He goes, "I don't know if you've told in the podcast." You, Barbara, you go, "No, the story about Greg Kinnear, I've never heard that before."
You're not
I
bad at
didn't
me.
say no, did I?
You were like, no. And the whole time you reacted to the story, I'm like, wow, I've never heard the story. I see that video the guy made. You're having the exact same reactions. You had heard the story and didn't even remember the fucking story.
He has the exact same reaction. What he
I remembered
says.
vaguely
The
you
story
telling me
being
the story.
told.
I didn't remember the details. I was
But did you see
4 years apart.
You said the exact same thing though.
I'm the same person.
Fair
You
play.
said how it's so cool how like one decision could make that.
I
like,
saw-
such an
I think
effect
the
in your
same
life.
way that I did for. The thing is, a lot
Oh,
of
I
people
know.
binge the podcasts. They'll listen through all of them in the span of months. For us, each one is a week apart, and it spans multiple years. It's impossible to remember what was said on them and what was said off them.
Here's the
Right,
thing.
like imagine trying to determine, like if you're sitting around with your friends, like imagine trying to remember every conversation you've had with your friend
Yeah.
at their house, but not your house.
Right. And also, like, say I've watched The Office. I watched The Office years ago. I'm watching it again now. It's making me laugh again. I don't remember it all.
Right.
It's funny again.
Still funny.
It's the same with stories.
All right, well, it's
Thanks,
about
bud.
time to
No.
wrap
I was
this
about
up.
to open a beer.
Yeah, but we got a post show still.
Oh.
Yeah.